These are the top 20 NFL quarterbacks of all time. At number 20, give me Troy Aikman. Some people say he was just a game manager for the Cowboys, but I don't think you win 3 Super Bowls by accident. He was the absolute glue for that dynasty in the 90s, and his accuracy was incredibly underrated. At number 19, we have Lamar Jackson. Putting Lamar this low is probably going to upset Ravens fans, but until he wins a Super Bowl, I can't put him above these legends. I also know he's a multiple-time MVP, and without a doubt, the most dynamic rushing quarterback in NFL history. At number 18, we got Big Ben Roethlisberger. The guy was built like a defensive end playing quarterback. He was almost impossible to bring down in the pocket, constantly shrugging off pass rushers like they were nothing. He delivered 2 Super Bowls for the Steelers and never backed down from a physical game. Big Ben wasn't always the prettiest passer, but he just found ways to win ugly, hard-nosed football games. At number 17, it's Jim Kelly. I don't think any other quarterback could have led a team to 4 straight Super Bowls. Even though the Bills didn't win any of them, running the K-gun no-huddle offense the way he did makes him an absolute legend. Defenses were completely exhausted trying to keep up with his pace. It takes a special kind of mental toughness to lose the Super Bowl, bounce back the next year, and take your team right back there again. And trust me, the top 10 is where people are really going to lose their minds. Sitting at number 16, we have Fran Tarkenton. Before the league had dual-threat guys scrambling everywhere, there was Fran. He was basically running for his life out there and still setting all the passing records of his era. He scrambled to throw, extending plays way before it became popular. He took the Vikings to 3 Super Bowls, and his unique style permanently changed how the position was played. At number 15, give me Terry Bradshaw. A lot of folks look at his stats today, see the interceptions, and laugh, but you have to respect 4 Super Bowl rings. He called his own plays and came up huge when the lights were the brightest for the '70s Steelers. He had a massive arm and wasn't afraid to take deep shots down the field to Lynn Swann and John Stallworth when it mattered most. At number 14, we have Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford over guys like Russell Wilson is going to make some people furious. But 1 Super Bowl doesn't tell the whole story. Stafford spent a decade carrying Detroit before finally getting a real roster. The talent was always there. At number 13, we got Kurt Warner. From bagging groceries to winning a Super Bowl and league MVP, it's literally a movie script. The greatest show on turf wouldn't have existed without his insane accuracy and vision. He resurrected his career again later with the Cardinals and took them to a Super Bowl, proving his elite passing wasn't just a product of one system. At number 12 is Drew Brees. I already know people will say, Brees belongs in the top 5. I disagree. He was one of the most accurate quarterbacks ever, but the guys above him simply accomplished more. Before we proceed to the rest, tell me who you think is the most overrated quarterback on this list so far. I will follow the comment with the most reactions. Don't comment this list is trash, unless you can tell me who you'd replace. At number 11, we have Roger Staubach, Captain America himself. He basically invented the Hail Mary and was the clutchest player of his generation. He didn't even start his NFL career until he was 27 because of his military service, but he still won 2 rings and made the Cowboys America's team. I think his leadership on the field was totally unmatched in that era. Breaking into the top 10, at number 10 we have Steve Young. It's crazy how he had to sit behind Joe Montana for years, but when he got his chance, he was unbelievable. A lefty who could throw absolute dimes and outrun linebackers. That 6-touchdown Super Bowl performance is legendary, and his efficiency was light years ahead of his time. At number 9, give me Johnny Unitas. The man with the golden arm basically invented the modern passing game. I don't think the NFL becomes the offensive powerhouse it is today without him running the 2-minute drill back in the day. He set a record for throwing a touchdown in 47 straight games that lasted for half a century. The next quarterback is probably the most underrated player in NFL history. At number 8, it's Brett Favre, the ultimate gunslinger. Personally, I feel like football was just more fun to watch when Favre was playing. Sure, he threw a ton of head-scratching interceptions, but he also threw absolute missiles and won 3 straight MVPs. He played through endless injuries and loved the game more than anyone. Sitting at number 7, we have Dan Marino. He is arguably the best pure passer we've ever seen. To throw for over 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns back in 1984 is absolute insanity. It's a real tragedy he never got a Super Bowl ring, but his incredibly fast release and raw arm talent were just beautiful to watch. At number 6, give me John Elway. This guy carried some really average Broncos teams to the Super Bowl in the 80s, before finally getting his rings at the end of his career. The arm strength and the iconic comeback drives, like the drive against Cleveland, cemented his legacy. He could beat you with his legs, or throw a 60-yard frozen rope. Here's where this list becomes really controversial. At number 5, we have Aaron Rodgers. I think he is the most purely talented quarterback in NFL history. The way he throws the football, especially on the run and off platform, just doesn't make sense. 4 MVPs, incredible efficiency, and some of the craziest Hail Mary throws you will ever see. He makes the impossible look routine. At number 4, we have Peyton Manning, the Sheriff. He was literally an offensive coordinator standing on the field. The way he could dissect a defense, audible at the line of scrimmage, and manipulate safeties was something we had never seen before. 5 MVP awards speak for themselves. He completely revolutionized the cerebral side of the position. At number 3, give me Patrick Mahomes. Some might say it's too early to put him this high, but I don't think so. He already has multiple rings and does things on the field that look like a literal video game. The sidearm throws, the left-handed passes, the sheer creativity. It's unmatched. If anyone is going to catch the number 1 guy on this list, it's him. At number 2, we got Joe Montana. Joe Cool. 4 trips to the Super Bowl, 4 rings, 0 interceptions in those games. That stat is absolutely mind-blowing. Whenever the pressure was on and the game was on the line, he just never seemed to panic. He was the undisputed greatest of all time for a very long period. But at number 1, undoubtedly, is Tom Brady. 7 Super Bowl rings. He has more rings than any single franchise in the entire NFL. He wasn't the fastest, and he didn't have the biggest arm, but he just found ways to win time and time again. This was an all-time great career, and he is by far the greatest quarterback to ever touch a football.